All right, let's talk about Palestinian refugees coming to America, which I think is a real bad idea. Joining us, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn from the Judiciary Committee. Senator Blackburn, welcome back, ma'am, as always. I'll get your take on it. Palestinian refugees coming into the United States, I could think of about 6,000 higher priorities, but that's just me. What do you think? You have the power.
I agree with you. Let's start with getting the Americans that are held hostage, getting them freed. And Larry, you know, we've got to look at the reason that Biden is even talking about doing this. It is because the neighbors in that region of the world are saying, we don't want the Palestinian refugees. These are people that elected Hamas as their government. 72% of them think that the October 7th attacks were justified and were a good idea. So, of course, people in the neighborhood don't want them, and why Joe Biden thinks he can vet these people 6,000 miles away when he cannot even vet people that are coming to our southern border. We have had 75 terrorists since the first of this fiscal year, nearly 400 on his watch. We have had tens of thousands of people from countries of interest. They are not coming here to get a job. They do not wish us well. And this is another thing. I was so pleased Joni Ernst led 34 of us in a letter to the administration, basically saying, what are you doing? What is the justification? What is this going to cause? Where are these people going to go? How are you planning to implement this? Because, as usual with this administration, no one has any detail and no one has been given any information.
I mean, Senator, it just sort of raises the question all over again. Why can't we just close the border? I mean, instead of thinking about Palestinians, Gazans, terrorists, and the rest of it you described, and I myself talked to Senator Ernst earlier this week by telephone. I mean, can we put our foot down? He has executive authority. You and I have talked about this any number of times. I know it's an important issue for you. I don't want to be talking about new groups coming in. I would like to be talking about no new groups coming in. And in fact, ma'am, illegals going back.
Well, we should be deporting all of these criminal illegal aliens that local law enforcement is apprehending. And I have the CLEAR Act that would require ICE to come pick up these people when local law enforcement apprehends somebody. They get them on traffic stops, DUIs, fender benders, smash and grabs, and ICE will not pick them up and deport them. So an open border is the policy of this administration, and they are pushing it to the limits with these refugees. And Larry, when they parole people into this country, and as you know, that's a special status. It is rarely used. Trump and Obama each did about 5,000 a year. Joe Biden did 800,000 in 2022. In 23, he did 1.2 million. We don't know how many he has done this year already, but they get benefits, they get work permits, they're going to be moving into these blue cities, they're going to try to give them driver's license, they're going to try to register them to vote and have them count in the 2030 census.
What is back to the American hostage story. Joni Ernst was told me she was going to the Middle East to do some more work on that. We don't know who's alive and who's not alive. I mean, there were 5. The number originally was 5. That may not be the case anymore. Senator Ernst mentioned to me, I'm just going to say a lower number, but based on information that may not be correct. I don't know if you know any more or wish to share any more to our viewers. This is a heartbreaking story. I mean, the others, there may only be 35 or 40 hostages left, Israelis and from other, international countries. I mean, this is not a good story, but we wish the Bidens would work on this story instead of opening the border to yet more.
Oh, absolutely. And it is devastating when you meet with these families and they cannot get information. They do not know the condition of their loved one, and you just want to wrap your arms around them and cry with them because it is so devastating. And this administration does not seem to be taking steps that are going to get these hostages freed, but yet they want to send in aid to Gaza. And of course, who ends up with that aid? It is Hamas that ends up with that aid, with the medicine, the food, the fuel. And then who are they fighting? They are fighting the Israelis. And you know, we would like to get those hostages. We do not want to be receiving refugees who cannot be properly vetted. And as I said, that open border, people from countries of interest. Larry, it is time for the safety and security of the American people to be put first.
Wow.
And right now we have an administration that puts it last. And people are looking at crime in the streets, gangs that are coming across that southern border. They're looking at chaos on the college campuses. They're concerned about the safety in their neighborhoods, of their kids at school. They're concerned about who is actually fomenting all of this uprising and this chaos. They're disturbed when they hear about the Foundation for Freedom of Palestine and the connections of that and other groups to Hamas and these terrorist organizations. And Larry, who is funding every bit of this, you and I know the answer to that. It is Iran.
Yes, yes,
They
ma'am.
are the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Yes.
Joe Biden has got to stop this appeasement.
Yes.
And he has got to stand for defending this country and its citizens. And
First.
people are waking up to what is happening every day.
America first. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Senator Blackburn. Thank you.